Good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order. It's an absolute privilege and a pleasure, as always, to have you join us. No matter what time of the day it is, you'll come out and want to talk about Celtic, as do we. Welcome back from myself, as always, Steve O'Matt, and you'll see there, familiar face. Joining us miles from home is my brother, Paddy boy, Paddy Maguire. Mate, it's great to have you on, particularly from a long distance. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Long shift today. As you said, I'm quite far away. I'm currently sitting 170 miles off the coast of Aberdeen in the middle of the North Sea, for anybody that
Okay,
cares.
that's it. Commitment to the cause. Brilliant, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah,
Well, you managed to get to see that game as well, and there is a game to
I did.
talk about, and we'll get down to that, of course, as we will always do. But before we crack on, you know what we need to do, don't we? You know what we need to do. I know. It's a wee bit of housekeeping at the start, as we say all the time. Right now, CWO, our operation is small, but there's always some very welcome room for some rapid expansion. It is starting to get there. We're slowly but surely making inroads. We're getting more eyeballs on us. But if you want to help us get more folk in the door, then you know what to do. Make sure that you hit the subscribe on the YouTube here. If you like what you see in here, give it a wee thumbs up. That'd be great. And if you want to go one step further, you can share our content. It just gets more folk in the door, more fans in the comments, grows the community. You can also check us out in the socials at CWO Pod 1888 on X. You also find me, Paddy, Josh, and anybody else that joins us. Their handles on there if you want to connect with us elsewhere. And we're also old school on Facebook at Celtic World Order Podcast. That is it. Welcome everybody to the show. Welcome, Paddy. It's one to get over the line into it, this one. It's a performance that's it is what it is. The points matter the way.
Points make prizes at the end of the day. And our manager commented on it before. It's all in our hands. And you know what? I'll take 3 points for that today. Definitely. I think it was a lot of nerves, and it showed.
Yeah, you know, the thing was, we were looking for, perhaps after that Aberdeen game, we were maybe
Yeah.
hoping for a response, weren't we? Like in terms of an actual performance, you know, because we've come out and we've sort of criticised the other manager talking about performances rather than the result. And let's be honest here, at the end of the day, the result is all that matters. It's 5 cup finals between now and an actual cup final, which will be
Aye.
game number 6 to get over the line. You know, no matter what way that the points come, we've got to do it. But I do think, you know, there is maybe a wee bit of expectancy. It's been Jekyll and Hyde all season, as we've said with Celtic, unfortunately. In the Aberdeen performance, you know, at the neutral, yeah, it was an exciting game, but it was making you tear your hair out. So I think there was just that hope, wasn't there, that we were going to get something more kind
Aye.
on the eye, shall we say.
We were looking for an answer. We were looking for a reply for the players to come out and go, right, do you know what, guys? This is how we're going to do it. That's what we're going to do. And me and Josh called 3-1. We both said it.
Yeah.
And you know, a couple of centimetres the other side of the post, it would have been for Hatate, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you call? Did you not call 2-1?
I think I did go for 2-1 actually. I'd need to watch it back. I was very cautious though, wasn't I? I'm always cautious, particularly this time, because you don't know what you're getting with. But
And
there's a few things, you know, we'll go through the key points and then we'll chew the fat over some of the sort of, you know, maybe some of the less glamorous parts of our game. So we came out with the team went up. It was pretty much standard fare, but you expected, you know, there was the old after Scales had, let's be honest, they had a bit of a nightmare against Aberdeen. You know, I know sometimes people feel that he's the whipping boy, but it is fair to say that his form somewhat has fallen off a cliff from his sort of, you know, swashbuckling earlier rise to fame, if you want to call it that, at the start of the season. So is it going to be a return for Nawrocki? Are we going to see him in there, or are we going to go with Scales? Alas, it was Scales straight in. And I think the only other real surprise, but even then, not really a surprise, was the fantastic James Forrest coming in from the start. Well deserved, I would probably say.
yeah,
He's been, you know, in that Aberdeen game, he showed the other guys what we needed. He showed the mentality, he showed the determination. So were you happy to see him in and team-wise elsewhere? Any surprises, anything you would have changed?
obviously Scales. I don't know what any other defender would need to do to get into that squad ahead of him, because the guy for me just lacks quality. He lacks the final pass. I don't think he's confident in himself. Like you said, when he first arrived, it was the Ginger Maldini. He was outstanding. We didn't know what we got here. We were like, who is this guy? He was absolutely fantastic. And then he's just kind of fell off the boil a little bit. So hopefully we can get him back to the way he was at the beginning of the season, and start performing. James Forrest, again, it was one that we called. We spoke about it. I think everybody wanted it, but we weren't sure whether it was going to happen. We were, he's got to do it. He's got to have a look and put James in here. And do you know what he did? I thought if he can give him 60 minutes rather than bring him on for 30, that would be nice. And James, he got it, and we've seen what happened.
Absolutely, and there it is. As we say, Forrest is fantastic, but the frailties are still there to see. As a hurdle cleared, we'll go through it. We'll scan over the action, and then we'll come back and we'll revisit it in a wee bit more forensic detail. But no, for me, I totally agree with what you're saying. I was sort of championing the idea of going with Mike Nawrocki, getting him into the team, trying to see what we've got. I can understand at this sort of vital stage of the season, it's probably more a case of stick with the devil, try to get yourself through, grind it out, get over the line, don't change the formula too much. And I would probably imagine that's going to be the case, certainly for the next 3 games anyway, until such as a time where it is mathematically impossible for anything other than a Celtic win. We're just going to have to bite down on the gum shield, aren't we, with the team selection. But another one that surprised me a wee bit was Callum McGregor. Now, when I done the sort of press conference show on myself, I was highlighting a couple of these things, and what was important was, we touch on James Forrest first and foremost, and we'll get down to the manager's chat after this match as well. But in his press conference, lots of praise for Forrest, and what he actually said was quite interesting, was that, with a wee bit of hindsight, looking back, he thought to himself, maybe I should have used James Forrest more. Maybe I could have used James Forrest more. And certainly he let us know that James Forrest had said or intimated to him in a sort of nice, not I better be playing boss type of way, that he maybe thought that he should have featured a wee bit more. So I thought that was quite interesting, that, with a wee bit of hindsight, a wee bit of sort of looking back, he's went, you know what, maybe a wee bit of a misstep. But what he did say was that he was actively trying to play some of the newer guys. So that was very deliberate. He was, for whatever reason, it might not have worked, but he wanted to give those new guys, those new signings, a chance, proper game time, probably in the hope, I'd imagine, that they could kick on and start to show some sort of form. But at the same time, in the back burner, always knowing that he's got Forrest there. So I thought that was interesting. As with regards to Cal McGregor, he also said in his press conference, it was about trying to get minutes into McGregor's legs, get him back up to speed. We spoke about it when he came on against Rangers. It was brutally clear that he was off the pace. We saw that against Aberdeen. I felt we saw that again today. What about yourself? I thought he looked a bit leggy. He looked, for me, a mile off.
Aye, we're just used to Callum being the one that presses, being the one that drags the squad up the park, the one that's first into tackles and things like that. And that, like you say, it wasn't there. We didn't see that part of his game. And without that, he's not getting in possession as much, and he's not able to drive the team forward. So we did notice a difference in him, definitely.
Yeah. No, I thought it was quite leggy, and it starts to really kick up some really, really pressing questions, particularly when we look further ahead to the Hearts game. Because let's face it, we didn't take Dundee for granted. I know you sort of jokingly said that you would have liked to seen a solid performance and maybe a scalping for them, but we saw how they set up against Rangers. They're there on merit. They're in the top 6. They're still pushing. They can get themselves in a European spot. So you can't take them. You can't take them lightly. They are a very well organised team. They set up well and they know their job. But if you look at the quality of Hearts, I know, listen, people roll their eyes about Hearts and how they perform elsewhere, but they have been a side that have given us major problems. And, they are going to be up for us when it comes to the game at Parkhead. So not only have we got jobs to get down to there, we've got scores to settle, sorry. We've got that to deal with. But it's going to be a fight, and I'm just a wee bit concerned at this moment in time, at this juncture, to fire a McGregor into a game like that coming up, if what we saw against, a significantly less quality team in Dundee saw him chasing shadows at times.
Yeah. But when Iwata came on, did you think he was much better? I seen he had a lot of loose
Aye.
passes, and he broke the play up a little bit, but when he did, his passing
Mm.
seemed really loose, and just looked like he was chasing the game a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, we will touch on Iwata. I certainly thought that it looked a lot more solid. It looked a lot more settled when he came on. Again, these are questions that we've got to look at. But listen, let's start looking at the actions that unfolded anyway. You started off, we said at the turn of the show, we said on our looking ahead to this that we were looking for a performance, we were looking for a reaction to
Aye.
what was a bit of a lacklustre performance against Aberdeen. And by all accounts, I actually thought, here we go. They like up for it. Started off fairly bright. It wasn't a blistering best, was it? But, early on, there's a couple of really quick chances. Kuhn,
Mhm.
again, another guy that we've covered. We've sort of says, up and down, unpredictable, sometimes looks interested, fades out the game. He was the one straight in there, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, exact same thing, picking up the ball, taking on his man, driving inside, cuts inside, and he almost gets 2 identical shots off where he
Aye.
tests the keeper. You
I
think
thought,
to yourself there, let's
aye,
go.
like you saying, first 15 minutes, I thought Kuhn was our best player. Every time he got the ball, something was going to happen. Um, and he mixes it up. He's not a one-trick pony like we spoke about before, like Lewis Palmer. He goes to the byline and he cuts in as well. And I think the defenders just find him too unpredictable.
Mhm.
And like you say, he cut inside and had 2 pretty identical shots. And if we've got a Daizen Maeda on that other wing, he's going to be standing there for that ball to bounce off him.
Yeah.
Um, and the same with the other one, you're going to have your striker should essentially be chasing them in. You'd like to hope that they're kind of going in expecting the rebound.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's interesting. Sorry to jump in there, just to throw that back at you. You're talking about anticipating the rebound. That's where, for me, again, we've spoke about Kyogo and how he looks like again, a real Jekyll and Hyde. I hate using the term so freely, but it's indicative of the entire season and across all the other players. Sometimes you're thinking, right, he's back. Here we go, he's back. The day, so disinterested to me. Hey, look, they done nothing. And that's the kind of chances. A Kyogo on his game, being sharp, he's in there, isn't he? He's in the right area. He's looking to poke these things on, but just drifting.
I don't know what the deal is with the wee man. It just seems off the boil completely. We've spoke about it. We'd said he was off the boil, and then he went and banged in a goal, didn't he?
Aye.
As he does, but it's sod's law. As soon as you complain about somebody, they go in and do that. But yeah, the wee man, he's not been as prolific as we hoped he would be this year.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It was frustrating to say. So we start off quite early on. We look sharp, as you say, Kuhn. You're thinking, all right, here we go. He's up for it. And he's almost echoing what we've seen for Forrest on the other side. He's trying to be direct. He's trying to do the right things. And I think at that point, it's early on in the game. Yep, we're only like 7 minutes in, but we're still looking pretty good. We're looking like we're up for it. And you're thinking, right, okay, we might get this performance. We might finally get those 2 consistent, good first and second half performances.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily quite go that way. I think the next chance that we get again, and it's down to Forrest, shows what he's all about. He takes a beautiful touch, just flicks
Aye.
it round the defender. He's actually a big attacker. It's defender, I think it's Bakayoko. He
Aye.
flicks it round him, he gets round the back of him. Brilliant cross into the box. And, Kuhn, he comes and flashes at it, doesn't he? He flashes at
Yeah.
it. And then Rio bounds in with a shot and fires it over the bar,
I think the commentator said as well he can put the head on that
if he's
uh,
brave.
if he's braver. Yeah, I think he's just he's leaned back and threw his boot up at it, and
Aye. It's a
he's
bit
kind of
snatching, but speaking of headers, actually, you've just it reminded me there. We did have a chance through an unlikely source of Taylor, just a short time before that. The ball comes over again, and it Scales, the much maligned Scales, gets a header down, and somehow the goalie claws that one away. We were sort of piling on early pressure, weren't we?
aye, definitely. Taylor, it's a cracking header down, and again a Kyogo on his game standing there waiting in that. You're wanting your striker to essentially be standing on that 6-yard line, waiting for the ball to be flashed across or the ball to come across like that. The keeper, I don't know, he's just kind of froze his hands out like this, and he just kind of palms it away a little bit.
See, when you're talking about that, Paddy, and you're saying about the anticipation in your striker. Now, I know that folk don't like talking about it. We talk about Ange Ball and all this kind of stuff. That was all based around anticipation, wasn't it? It was balls across the box and being there, committing, making the run, trying to get on the end of things. You know, certainly that's something that is that something that's coming out of your game now, the way that we're playing? Do you think the fact that we're not getting guys following up, things like that, or just rushing in, gambling, trying to throw themselves at a loose ball, is it lack of, not to ill speak them, is it lack of sort of real heart? Is it lack of sort of being bothered, for lack of a better term? Or is it just the way that we play now isn't around that, but it's almost been removed, the second nature?
It feels like it's been removed a little bit. Alistair Johnson was always one for bursting into the byline and smashing a ball across. We spoke about it before, said he wasn't really the best at crossing the ball, although he's had a couple of games there where he's put in absolute worldies. But previously, he would just bomb it to the byline and ping the ball across as fast as he possibly could. And there was always somebody there, whether it be Kyogo or Dyson coming in for the other wing. We always had that person pressing because they knew where the ball was going to be going. Now you've got guys in, like, your Kuhn's cutting back and he's pinging it this way, and you've got Johnson who's waiting kind of on 18-yard line, waiting to kind of cross it round. And I just feel like we're not getting that anymore. I like you say, it's as if it's been taken out of the game. I don't know whether it's not part of how Rodgers likes to play it.
And I think that's the thing, albeit that on the face value of things, that opening sort of 10, 15 minutes, we looked like there was nice wee passages of play, nice wee connecting passes and trying to do the right things. It quickly went back to that sort of, I don't know, that sort of passive movement for me, where it was all very laboured, and as you say, is this just passing it across the edge of the box or out to the winger, or can I get past, I'll cut inside, and it got a wee bit samey. Eventually the goal does come. I don't know, it was certainly what's unexpected a wee bit more. Rio Hatate picks the ball up. Guys says, no, listen, I don't think he covered himself and go to the day in terms of his overall performance, but he done enough and certainly does the right thing here. He receives the ball, quick turn, rifles the pass in, and I'll actually bring this up because I want your take on it. So, Strange Love says Kyogo's layup to smash the volley for the goal that we're going to cover is genius. I think it's a miscontrol. I actually don't think he means it, if I'm being honest with you. But anyway, he flicks it up. Forrest there, rifles the volley, goalkeeper's left, past him, he's standing, can he move? Bottom corner, great goalie.
It's a cracking finish. Listen, if Kyogo's meant that, then fair play to the wee man. He's better than I thought he is. But yeah, what a hit for James. He's just anticipated it. It was Zidane-esque, wasn't it? It was a wee
Zidane
crack there, right into the bottom corner. I'm going to give him it. Sing the wee man's praises. He took it well. And
that's the thing. It's impact, isn't it? Impact, class, skill. Yeah. Exactly. I thought we'd push on for there as well. And that's the thing. It just sort of fizzled out. There wasn't too much to write home about after that, was there? It's a fantastic finish. Great technique to, firstly to keep it down. Because sort of comes up on him, just guide it past the goalkeeper. A great finish, and he says, listen, I thought it was a miscontrol from Kyogo, but I'll game out. I don't care how they come.
He's got the assist. That's it.
I think and as far as Kyogo, I've got some wee notes that I like to write. I think that's the only real mention I've got for him. I think that's about as much as I can tell he does in that first half anyway.
He makes some good runs off the ball. We'll give him that. He's one of the players. You can't not have him in the squad, though. He's still one of our best players that we've got there. And I was calling before for either to get a start and everything else, but in games like this, when you've got big, lumpy defenders, as we'll call them, you're wanting a wee guy in there, a wee guy that's quick and whatever else. If he's not getting the ball into the box and the what do we call it, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the service, essentially. If he's not getting the service here, then he's not going to be scoring the goals, is he? So that's down to the.
I know it's frustrating, but it's certainly something that we need to get back, because
bring him back into the game. definitely.
we do, and that's the thing. We spoke about how whenever he was getting more involved in the play and drop and finding and being part of the initial stages of the play, picking it up, passing it out, letting people see where he's going to go. There was none of that again today. That's what's so frustrating. And the exact same thing against Aberdeen. It's becoming, listen, I say this, I'm using the term concerned or concerning loosely here, but we really need all our top guys doing what they should be doing,
Yeah.
playing to their strengths. And let's face it, we need Kyogo scoring
Yes.
because Ademida, the sort of cameos he's came on recently, he's not looked like scoring. He scored today, unfortunately, not the wrong sort of end of things, but it hasn't looked like the same sort of firing goal scorer. Kyogo, again, doesn't look it. And you know what? It's great. We win today. Absolutely fantastic. Can't take that enough. But you're no hoping for James Forrest to pop up and win your games, are you? Let's be
No.
totally truthful here. We
No.
need everybody to be carrying their weight, and particularly the strikers, because again, look across the water, whether you like them or not, their big garbage striker comes up with a goal a
Costs.
day, and drags them out. And that's what we need more of from our strikers. 2 massive games coming up, 2 our hardest games, undoubtedly. I'd actually go as far to say as I think the game against Hearts is going to be more difficult than the game against Rangers. So we need guys like him, stepping up, doing it, and
Yeah.
soon and quick.
Oh, 100%. And your big games, this is when your big players come alive, isn't it? We said it before the last Glasgow derby. This is where Kyogo will come. This is where he's going to come good. Yeah, the wee man played all right, but he didn't set the Castle Grayskull on fire, did he? But it was decent. He done enough, I feel. And then obviously he did come off the bench and banged in a goal in that game. Yeah, I'd like to see more service going into the boys. Give them another. I'm not going to say don't give them a chance, drop them. Do you know what I mean? We'll do a Craig
Well,
Levine 4-6
no.
formation here. Do you know what I mean? But
No, as the game goes on, there's a couple of things to sort of get concerned about, and we'll get into. I see a thought there's, snitches saying about defence and that looking shaky and uncertain. Obviously, we will cover that. Don't worry.
yeah,
I think what sort of concerned me is, we've got to go. The first half fizzles out. Not much really happens.
yeah,
You're thinking, right, okay, we go in, we take it 1-0. We know what we've got to do. Come back out. It's actually Dundee that start the second half, and the early phases of that second half far brighter, isn't it? They get early chances on. There's the chance as a free header for
aye,
Silla at the back post. He's inviting it. I think Johnson does enough just to be a wee bit of a menace and get under him and sort of take it off his sort of direction. And then we get another shot across the brows. All right, it ends up being offside. And Scales gets in it's really a last minute, last ditch block on Bakayoko. But is that what you're expecting after
no,
getting in at 1-0? If we went in with a draw as we have done previously, we get in at half time on terms. You're
aye,
thinking, right, we're 1 up, something's a wee bit different this time. Let's go out and kick on.
yeah.
But we just let them into it cheaply, did we not?
We come out and it just seemed as if I don't know. I don't know if it was nerves. I know you could put it down to something like that. Dundee come out with a bit between the teeth and just went for us. I don't know if it was I think I'd say to you about the stats. 67% of the possession I think that Dundee had was down the left hand side as well.
Yep.
Obviously targeting Taylor and Scales, so they've obviously seen that as a weakness, and that's obviously what they've spoke about and put into their game plan. Every time they put a ball in the box, I was scared. Their corners I thought were absolutely fantastic because we've not got anybody in that box with a bit of height that could deal with their big guys. They just seem to be pushing everybody off the ball and winning everything in the air.
Yeah. That's the thing is, it is, for me, it is still quite concerning. Listen, it's fine. The most important thing, and I'll keep saying it till the cows
3
come home,
points.
is
Yeah.
the 3 points, right?
Aye.
But let's talk about, we need to talk about these things. We're not sitting here being all doom and gloom, do you know what I mean?
No,
We're
not at all.
absolutely buzzing for getting the win. But these are very, very good points that you make in. And it's concerning when you look at some of the harder tasks it faces around the corner. As it says, Hearts, yes. Rangers, yes. Then there's Kilmarnock, which hasn't been kind to us either. So
Yeah.
these are really big games, and these are things that we need to iron out our game really, really quickly. We get a shot across the brows. They start to get into the game. Again, we highlighted the left-hand side. People will be bored of us saying it.
Aye,
People will be bored of us saying Taylor, Scales,
aye,
weak, unpredictable, caught out, bad position. It is though, and that's where they keep on hitting us down that side, as you say. And then we get the action areas for that as well. And in that early next sort of first 15 or so minutes of that first half, 60% of the action was in the Celtic box.
aye.
That's how under siege we are at this time. And
Yeah.
again, I keep saying it, it's hindsight, ifs, buts, and shoulda, woulda, coulda, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're playing against a team that have better strikers that aren't Dundee, you can be punished.
Oh, aye. Definitely. Aberdeen showed that, didn't they?
hmm And
Do you
that's
know
the
what I mean?
thing. You talked about the physicality as well, and it's something that I thought that we really, really struggled at. Again, Scales on Bakayoko, the big man's just sort of finding his way around him when he wants to do it, and it is really, 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 really concerning. And I want to bring this up because I'll be honest, I'm quite bored to hearing this narrative. Scales is a scapegoat. Yes, you want to use that term, he is. No, Scales is rotten right now. Okay, now in between, there's lots and lots of positives. He's a mixed bag. That's what I'll say. I'm mentioning him. The left hand side, if you want to use that term, is a scapegoat, is a fallback, whatever. It's fact. The left hand side of Celtic's defence, which unfortunately for John Scales, um, Scales happens to be Liam Scales happens to be one of the left hand sided defenders
Yeah,
where we are weak. Right now, it's been Taylor for long periods has been much maligned in the Celtic support for
yeah,
seasons upon seasons, and now we've got Scales. Okay, the two of them don't work well together. It's as simple as that. Not one player's a scapegoat because there's lots of players in that team today that should be holding their heads down in shame.
yeah,
Alistair Johnson's another one for me as well, who I thought was absolutely pathetic compared to what he's been. And that's what really, really concerns me. People are turning around and saying there's deficiencies, there's weaknesses in our defence, and it's really concerning at this nip and tuck stage of the season.
yeah. No, I totally agree with you, mate. Again, we've called it every game. We've said, "Oh, Taylor Scales," and you said it there. Again, yeah, Johnson wasn't good enough. I think the thing with Taylor and Scales is they both want to go forward. They were both
Mhm.
pushing. Like, there was a point when Scales done it so many times. He's busting into that midfield, and then he's making a loose pass, and before you know it, you're loose. Do you know what I mean? You're one down at the back, and then
Yeah.
these teams are just catching you on the break, and teams are starting to expect it. They're backing off and going, right, do you know what? Let them run up.
Well,
Let them run
see,
to the 30-yard line and take the ball off them.
you see, what I thought was interesting, that's what I want to touch on Scales in particular here, all right? Because I did think that even though I'm sitting here giving him a hard time, because I thought, again, he had some really shaky moments, there was actually a wee bit in my notes where I wrote, Scales doing all right. And I'll tell you why for. Because, as you says, teams were happy to let him get the ball.
Aye,
Get the ball, come striding into midfield, hoping they misplace a pass, hoping they lose possession, get in behind them. But in some cases, it actually worked in our favour today because, yes, it was very much half and half. He was the epitome of a mixed bag today for me. He done some good stuff. He won some decent duels.
yeah,
He threaded some decent passes into the midfield. When he was coming forward, they were standing off it because I would expect him to, make a backside it. But he was able to get off some decent passes and start to build up some attacks. But for every one or two times that he done something like that and it was really positive, there was a mirror image where there was, you
got it.
know, there was a caught out. So it's that in itself is quite frustrating because the one thing I said about Scales is I think that he's a brilliant surprise package this season, and he's proven that he can be a good utility player, a good squad member to
Mhm.
have around. Certainly an option, not the solution.
Yeah,
But he done that when he was keeping to the basics.
that's what I want. I want a basic defender, somebody who does their job as a defender. I don't want to see my defender busting into the middle of the park and passing the ball into whoever else. I want him to get rid of the ball when it's coming towards him. I don't want my keeper to have to worry about whether this ball's going to drop in behind the defender or whatever else. I want an old school defender who's just going to, if in doubt, kick it out
Yeah.
and not try and skin a player and do this. And that's not for me. Maybe that's Brendan's way of playing football, and I'm maybe just not adapting to the modern game. But if I'm old school, then yeah, that's what we need. We need an old Rudy Vata. That's what we want. An old Rudy in there.
An
Do
old
you know what I
Rudy
mean?
Vata. You know, I'd take Rudy Vata now. I'd take a current age Rudy Vata at the moment, to be honest with
Definitely.
you. But, and there's it says exactly what I says. Scales did put in a fair shift today, and that's the thing. It really is, again, the epitome of a mixed bag. He had some really good moments. For example, as I touched on, it happened to be offside. The last ditch tackle, on Bakayoko. That was fantastic. He didn't know it was offside, and he gets in there and does the right thing. I just think that we need to get back to basics, for lack of a better term, back to basics. Nothing fancy. Just keep it safe. Don't do it. Don't make any unnecessary risks. And at times, I feel, as you says, our defenders are doing that. Strangelove says as well here, he's like, how are the balls getting pumped into our box? He says, how are teams getting the ball off of us? We are losing the
Misplaced
ball
passing.
cheaply in the midfield, on the wings, and we're giving teams opportunities that we just simply can't do that at this moment in time. But we digress, as we say, as the time starts to move on, we get a year after subs. So we get, as you'd expect, we get off, excuse me, we get Keogh coming off, we get McGregor coming off, and we see the introduction of Awata, we see the introduction of big Adam Ida. What do you think there? As I say, we spoke roughly about McGregor. I think he looked a wee bit lost, didn't he?
Aye, Callum was off the pace. I think when Awata come on, he pressed a little bit, he intercepted the ball a bit more. He was sharper than Callum, you could tell that. I thought he wanted to get involved in the play a lot more. Ida, when you said obviously he's come on for Kyogo, I feel that Adam was just trying to hold the ball up a lot. And I think he struggled a bit with it. I think he struggled to hold the ball up and everything else, didn't he? He was
he comes on, and again, I didn't necessarily think that he was getting himself particularly overly involved in the game. He cut a wee bit of a frustrated figure for me, Adam Ida, when he came on. What I would say is with our substitution at that time, I think that when Awata came on, we've had this discussion, as we said, whenever we were contemplating who was going to come in previous games, about McGregor's position. We says, well, what are the options there? Is it going to be Awata? Is it going to be Bernardo? We sort of agreed that we thought that Awata was the better of the selection there. And yeah, I know you said at the top of the show that you thought that he had a couple of sort of shaky moments, a wee bit of sort of, cheap loss of possession stuff. However, I did definitely feel that when he came on, that the actual midfield just looked a wee bit more robust, a wee bit more assured. Totally different player for McGregor, as we know. McGregor, great eye for a pass, dynamic, connects up the play. Awata, he just does the unfashionable stuff and sits in. But I thought at that stage we really needed that because, as we say, Dundee were starting to get a wee bit of a foothold in the game. It was coming a bit of a battle, and we needed that sort of calm head. That I'm not saying that McGregor isn't a calm head, but we need somebody with a calm head that's operating on a certain level of fitness in order to remain calm. And I thought he contributed quite well, to be honest with you. So, we built up again shortly thereafter, and we got the second goal. And again, who is it? It's James Forrest, and he pretty much works it himself, does he not?
Yeah, he's just got through, and he's took it for the defender, got through, and nutmegged the keeper with a fair bit of power on the ball. So yeah,
and you hear there's a desperate calls for. I have folk are shouting, I think they're going to call that back for a handball, but no, it wasn't. It actually comes off, I think, actually between the the two defenders, they sort of come into each other, it bounces up. I think it maybe hits one of them in the hand, but it's the anticipation. He sees the slack pass, he charges, he puts the guy under pressure. We win back possession. It's slipped in, as we say, isn't it? A wee bit of fortune whereby the defenders sort of fluff their lines and go into each other. Great finish, straight through the legs.
Yeah.
Again, for me, I'm like 2-0. Here we go. That's it. I genuinely thought that was going to be the tide turning, and that we were going to get ahead there.
If I touch on something here, a wee dilemma. Once we get Dyson back, say Dyson comes back against Hearts, right? This is all hypothetical. Obviously, if he's fit enough for Hearts, and Dyson's obviously starting on the left, do you start Jamesy on the right?
Or I wouldn't be adverse to it. I certainly wouldn't be adverse to it. I think that if we're wanting guys to be committing, because listen, we mentioned Kuhn, by this point, Kuhn has, he's well and truly non-existent. Like, he's been non-existent. So for me, I wouldn't be against it. The good thing about Maeda is, we often switch the wingers as we do. It's a sort of standard tactic. We've done that. Manager done that for time as long as it went. I think it could be an option. Certainly, it's something that I wouldn't be against, because you're saying, do we put Maeda on the left and Forrest on the right? Well, yeah, you know what, we can do that, but Forrest can stay on the left if we want. And as we say, no matter where you put Maeda, it's not about being naturally left-footed or right-footed and great ball in. It's just about that work rate, and he will do that in either wing. It only for me becomes a bit of a conundrum if you're suggesting that against Rangers, because to me that's an absolute no. You don't. You keep Maeda on the left. So
to pin back the serial loser.
But no, that's the thing. As it says, it's a goalie's own design, and again, he shows everything that Rodgers has been talking about, everything that we've been talking about, everything that the fans have been wanting, which is just a bit of commitment, a bit of grit, determination, standing up to be counted, taking things into your own hands and saying, you know what, watch this, I'm going to get on with this and do it. And that's exactly what he does there. It's a goal completely constructed through nothing but determination, and it is a great finish.
Oh, it's a cracking finish. We've come to expect it from him. It's his weak foot as well, and he's just like you say, he's put his foot through it. And it's grit and determination. That's what we put that one down to. It's not a silky goal. It's not one that you're going to go, oh, mind that goal James he scored. It's pure grit. It was one. Watch this, boys. This is what we should be doing. And that's what we spoke about as well. Players like that who know what it means to the club, who know what we need to grab us by the scruff of the neck when we need it and drag us through games like that. Because he knows that the 3 points there was pivotal. That was absolutely crucial that we got the 3 points.
Well, we get 2-0 up, and as I say, at this point, I'm thinking, right, job's done. You hear it in the stands. The fans think it as well. They're like, here we go, and we do almost increase the lead, because not too long after, Rio has a brilliant chance, edge of the box, cuts in, and he smacks it off the bottom corner of the post. Fine margins.
The noise off of that, by the way, I don't know. I was watching it on the rig, and the noise when that hit the post was frightening, and he must have had it with a fair bit of power. If that goes in, that's curtains.
Yeah,
that's game, set, and match, isn't it?
And that is the thing, and that's what we see. It literally is a game of two halves. It's sliding doors moments, because that looks like 2-0. Here we go. The stuffing's knocked right out of Dundee. We're going to get Cruz on here. We'll maybe kick on, get another go or two. Then we out of nowhere, OG. I think does it go on as an OG? Because it certainly rolls up.
I know the shot was on target.
Yeah.
I think Hart's saving it if it's on target going towards him. I think it's went down as an OG for Adam, which I think is a bit harsh because the shot is essentially on target. But it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's a poor goal to concede.
I think how that exactly used took your words right in my mouth. It is another poor goal to concede. People have been saying it in the comments, and we never seem to learn. We never seem to learn. We looked at the dangers of crosses in the Aberdeen game. We've seen that, and we've seen those crosses. We've seen ourselves getting undone by cross balls and corners and set pieces time and time again this season. Nothing is different here. Come straight in off the corner. I don't know what the defence are doing. They let him get the shot off, and it's not even. It should Hearts there. It's a
Aye.
fluff. I don't know if he just reacts. Is that for you? Is it just one of the ones, or is it a lack of communication? Should Hart be being a bit more, it's mine, a bit calling it for behind, or just? Do you think it's just desperation? He's a big striker in the box. He's not a defender, and he thinks,
Aye.
I'm going to try, I'm going to try and clear this here, and it rolls up the shin and past the goalie.
Aye, I think it's just he's trying to get in the way of the ball. He's trying to make himself big, do the thing, do the part for the club, and just got in the way. I think it's just unlucky for him. Should Hart be more commanding? Probably. But if you're a player in that box and you see the ball and you think you can get it, are you going to listen? You're going to go for the ball, aren't you? So
Yeah.
I think it's a bit harsher on the big guy. And I certainly don't think he should have been doing as an OG.
I know that's it. As I say, but it's a wee scare. And
Yeah.
the game, again, we use this term quite a lot, unfortunately, this season. It just sort of fizzles out. I think that we make stuff a wee bit hard for ourselves, as always. We still invite a wee bit of pressure on. There's no
Yeah.
any particularly great chances for ourselves. There's nothing pressure-wise for Dundee at the
No.
tail end of the game, is there, that really is that concerning? But as it says there on the screen, the frailties are still there. We
Yeah.
still continue to lose the ball cheaply, even right up to the end. We
Yeah.
still invite crosses into the box. There's a couple of scrambling away, cross balls and what have you. Is that just nerves at the end for years?
I think nerves played a big part of the game throughout, not just towards the end, like the proverbial squeaky bum time. I think throughout the game, Celtic looked nervous. I think they knew, obviously, we had to get it across the line. I don't know if, obviously, the other side of Glasgow playing earlier on had an effect on that, because we knew, right, listen, we need to get the result here. We need to get a result regardless of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that should have an effect on it. And I think that's something that the manager
Yeah,
has to install into the players. Like, just go do our job. Don't worry about what's happening at the other side.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, I think it did have a part.
as we get there, we get ourselves over the line.
Yeah,
And it is 3 points. It's the first hurdle cleared.
yeah,
5 hurdles in front of us for the league. Arguably 3 the next 2 games. Arguably, if you win those, then you should be home and dry, home and hosed, and that's it. And the league should all be, I say, a formality. None's ever a formality, but it
aye,
should be pretty much nailed on that it's looking, unsurmountable for the
yeah,
opposition should we get there. So let's have a wee peel back and get through it, the good and the bad and the ugly, and just sort of, if there's any players that you want to, I know, it's going to be Scales, it's going to be Taylor, I don't know, it's going to be McGregor, but here's the thing, and it all comes down to the way that we're playing. I've saw a lot of sort of narrative, I've seen a lot of sort of takes on it across social media. I watched some other podcasts as well, and I think it's safe to say that it's been a frustrating game for many. We take the points. That is really all that matters. It really doesn't matter, if we had another 4 of these games
yeah,
and that's the way it pans out, then do you know what? So be it. But we need to be honest and we need to look back. We've said this throughout the season. I think when you look at the bigger picture, when you look beyond this season,
yeah,
this side for me needs major surgery. I would probably go as far to say that it's possibly, and I'll include Rangers in this as well, it's possibly 2 of the worst Celtic and Rangers sides that I've seen in a long, long time.
yeah,
It's literally like 2 bald men fighting over a comb.
aye,
It's murder. It's aye, exactly your comb, mate. But it's no, I think there's a lot that we really, really need to get our teeth in here. And here's the thing, we why bring us up? We're talking about these teams lumping the ball into the box and all that. Yep, do you know what? Is it tactical? No one's saying it's a masterclass, but when teams come up against you, you've got to work to your strengths. You've got to work against your opposition's
yeah,
weaknesses. And teams know that Celtic defensively, from cross balls, are not very good. So it can be called desperation, or it could be seen as being a
good
form of
point.
tactic. It's what we
Aye,
call and I call chaos ball.
Yeah.
Rangers have been doing it to great success for years. Fire the ball into a box, ask a question, and it might just come off. And too many
If in
teams are
doubt.
doing that to us, and it's been the undoing of us many a time this season. So do you blame teams for doing it, Paddy?
No, not at all. Not at all. You look at the Aberdeen game, it worked an absolute treat for them. As soon as they brought on that big lad, what is it? I can't mind his name. Soccer. They just started lumping the ball into him. They knew he was going to win the ball, him and Majowski. And they were just knocking the ball down and everything else. Everything came over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so happened that it was the top of the left-hand side. But yeah, it's just lumping the ball right over the top and watching their defenders scramble to try and get it.
So, like, here we go. Here's what Paddy's saying. We've talked about AJ, we spoke about Taylor, we spoke about Scales. I singled out the three of them. I thought that, yes, albeit there was interspersed some decent things happening there. As I says, Scales, mixed bag, won some good duels, some good passing work, but there was still the same sort of creaks in his, game that were there forever to see.
Yeah.
Taylor, again, very much weak down that side. And Johnson, again, real hot and cold. We were singing his praises for his providing, a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Like,
it was
oh wow,
outstanding.
his
Worldies.
delivery's outstanding, man of the
Yeah.
match performance and stuff like that. But this is the thing. It's we really need to look at these problems because we've got 5 games and they're going to continually crop up.
Yeah. I
Stop
want a
the
clean sheet.
balls and stop the balls into the box. It's not a big ask, is it?
No,
You
not
know,
at all. I want us to have a clean sheet against one of these teams. I'd be absolutely delighted to see that. Especially against Hearts. I know what we're
well,
going to
Jim,
get
I
there.
actually have, my friend. I remember all too well how terrible these players were. But in terms of Celtic sides, certainly of recent, it's up there with some of the worst. It's disjointed. So no, I'm very well versed in the horrible early 90s era.
Steve, John puts up there as well, someone that we've spoke about, Majowski or Ida.
Well, that's another
It's
story
coming to
for
that
another day,
side.
isn't it?
Who would you
Not
go
coming to
for?
that stage. It's not coming to that stage. I think if you ask me, honestly, from what I've seen, I would have went for Miovski now, and that's
Yeah,
not to minimise the impact that Adam
Adam's
has
made.
made. He's come
Yeah,
in, he's scored some very important goals, and he's certainly contributed. But I think if you just look at the body of work, what we've seen the previous season and what we've seen this
aye,
season from Miovski, for me, it was certainly a no-brainer. And I think the one thing I do like about him, not to say that Adam doesn't have it, because he he's shown that he's strong, he's shown that he can get involved in other areas of the play. But I just feel that where they are on the sort of pecking order or on the totem pole, if you will, being established at what they do and being comfortable in their role, he to me just looks far more,
complete player essentially.
a far more complete player, and I think he would contribute far more. Um,
To your game. Aye,
yeah, that'd be far
I agree.
more to our game than that. But no, as I say, we look through the defence. Like starting off with there, we need to really knuckle down. We need to try and stop these balls coming in the box. At times, I wonder what we actually do when we defend. We do defensive training at Lennoxtown. It baffles me that we continually allow the ball to come into the box. We invite the pressure in, and what I find surprising is as well. And I'm not saying we go out and we get monsters at the back, but this lack of physicality, this lack of proper height is becoming telling. And
Aye,
also a goalkeeper who doesn't like to come for crosses.
yeah,
These are things as we move forward, because the game, we've looked at it, it's done and dusted. As we just look forward to what's to come, hopefully in the form of going into the Champions League. Can you
yeah.
honestly imagine Celtic going into a Champions League campaign with that back four?
Not at all. No, not even with Joe Hart in there either. Obviously, obviously Joe's
Won't
leaving.
be, but
As somebody had said, was it Asmir Begovic was one that we were linked with. I want to see a younger keeper coming in, one that's going to want to command his 6 yard line, going to want to come out and actually claim a cross. Too many times we've had a keeper that's been stuck to his line. Big
mhm.
Fraser was brutal for it as well. Cracking shot stopper, but wouldn't he come for a cross and he was about 6'10" or something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Um,
do you think that's something that we need to, as I say, be looking at the larger picture now? Is that certainly something that you want to see us getting into our game at the back? Are we looking for something? Obviously, we want dynamic. Now, if you look at Carter Vickers, he is a unit.
he's a unit.
He's not blessed with massive height, but what he does seem to do is he almost doesn't have to jump, if that makes sense.
Aye,
But that only works in certain cases. Time and time again, we're getting undone with these crosses. They're going right overhead. The keeper's not coming for it. There isn't really any level of physicality. And I think even when we look at guys like Johnson, who we were praising for being quite physical, quite robust and liking to put himself about,
aye,
even that looks as if it's becoming something a wee bit of a myth at the moment, isn't it? You know,
aye.
both wing backs are getting a torrid time, and in some cases thrown about.
Yeah, no, definitely. You go back to the days when we had Stan Varga and Bobo in there. I mean, you weren't going to bully these guys, were you? They were big units. They knew what they were doing. Didn't matter who you played alongside the boys. They were just going to win the ball and head it down towards them. Um, and that's the old school way. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm not. Yeah, a technically gifted player would be great in there, but you still need to do the simple stuff. You still need to clear the ball. You still need to header it away and win it in the air when it's coming in. You need to be able to
Yeah.
defend these corners, because too many games we've been playing, a team gets a corner, you're bricking it. You're going,
Yeah.
right, what are we getting here? And the deliveries into the box today were absolutely fantastic. And I'm very, very surprised that they didn't capitalise on it.
Yeah, it was. There were a lot of dangerous balls going into their box and says, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're trying to go with this man to man or they're going for a zonal. Certainly, it doesn't. You can't really decipher what the defensive tact is when we're up against sort of set pieces, and it's something that just concerns me. As I says, you know, certainly when we look at the next two games, you know, that's something that's going to be undoubtedly. We know what we're going to get out of Rangers. That is what they are going to do constantly. That is what they're going to do, and it's all about stopping the balls getting into the box with them.
Yeah.
But if we look at Hearts, you know, we were undone with plenty of just ping balls
Aye.
at the defence, up mid, over and behind. I mean, even look at Shankland. He got a free header out of nowhere at Celtic Park the last time round. You know,
Yeah.
these are very basic mistakes defensively that we really, really quickly need to get out of our game. I thought
Aye.
we would have learned that lesson after the Aberdeen game, but no, all right, it's an OG, but it's the way the OG comes about.
Yeah.
It's a free header down. We talk about the one as well. We sell at the back post in the first half. The same ball. It's, you know, it's
It's hard.
concerning.
It's hard to watch. It is really concerning because it's happening way too often. And we know what we're going to get with Hearts. You
And
touched
there
on
we go. That's it. This is exactly what we're
it.
talking about.
Yeah, it was kind of pushing into him. The big guy's just edging him out of the way as if he's not even there. And then when Tomoki Iwata came on, Iwata was up against the boy as well. And I don't know if you've ever met Tomoki Iwata. He's built like an absolute tank. The boy is massive. Like, he's as much broad as he is tall. And he was kind of edging in to try and push the boy off the ball, but he still won it. Because if you've not got that height, you're not going to do anything. You barge in, you're going to lose a penalty or something. I
It's
just feel like we need a bigger guy in there. I really do.
again, it's not to sort of try and rewrite and go all hindsight. It comes back to this. It's quite clear. It is very, very clear that this defence is going to be the status quo between now
Yeah,
and the end of the season.
this is what we're
This
going to
is
have.
this is what Rodgers believes to be, you know. And again, let's shed some sort of praise onto Scales, that for all that he is, for all the good positive stuff that he does and the negative, Rodgers looks at him and still thinks to himself, no, he's better than Narotsky. He's better than Lager Bielka. He's better than Welsh.
Yeah,
You know, and that in itself, to me, is sort of, it really sums up where we are at, because I genuinely thought that we'd have at least got to see Narotsky at some stage.
yeah,
Where does that leave these guys come the summer? Lager Bielka was going to be out the door. There was supposed interest in Welsh. Narotsky. You know, we've got about what, £7 million worth of defence
yeah.
just bench warming. Can he get
Well,
a game?
Stephen Welsh, you touched on Stephen there. Stephen was linked with Torino, I think it was. And as far as I was made aware through a close friend of Stephen's, it was pretty much over the line. And then it was called back because Celtic didn't have, I think Carter Vickers was out at the time, wasn't he? And I think it was basically went, do you know what, we can't sell him, we need to keep him, we need them as a backup or as a first team player at the minute. I think that's pretty much how Stephen got to stay. Lagerbielke, I'm not seeing much of the guy. Do you know what I mean? We haven't seen much of this
anymore than we have seen him.
Well, I know exactly. Or Nawrocki, you've not seen much of them. And if Scales is the better one out of all of them, then you've got to think what they are. Scales does the simple stuff well. It's when he tries to be a footballer, he messes it up. Do you know? No. That's it. Do your job, but do it to your ability. Don't try and be Carter Vickers. Don't try and be fucking one of these other guys. Just do your job.
See if you look at it. Let's look at the scenario, right? Let's look at the summer. Let's say we get ourselves over the line, right? We get ourselves over the line. I'm hoping we all. I'm expecting us to, right? So let's just say we find ourselves with the league, possibly a double. Either way, it doesn't matter. We've won the league, right? Let's say that's the summer. To you, does the summer look like, and this sound, how ridiculous does this sound? Are we in for another rebuild? Because think of how big the rebuild was under Ange, right?
Yeah.
Is it absolutely baffling you that we find ourselves only 2 years down the line that we're facing saying, nope, we need to rip this up, we need to rip this team up, and we need to change it all?
When you put it like that, yeah, it's baffling. But I think there's about 4 players, maybe 5 in that squad that you would just sit in there.
If I ask you right now, if I says to you, name me out of what we've seen, starting 11 and bench, who are you keeping from that side? I'm putting you right in the spot.
Right in the spot. Carter Vickers stays. Hatate. I'd like to keep O'Reilly, but I can't see it. I think O'Reilly's going to go. James Forrest, stick on. Fantastic player. Kyogo, I think the wee man will come good for us. Jesus, Callum, obviously, is a no-brainer. Other than that, everybody else is indispensable for me. There's not any other ones, even Dyson or Kuhn or whatever else. They're replaceable. You can get these wingers are 10 a penny. I want guys that are going to come in, that are going to play for the jersey, that are going to know what it means to play for Celtic, that are going to give you 110% every single game.
But can we get that can we get that in the sort of current climate of football with the foreign import, if you want to call it that?
We spoke about the money thing as well, bringing in £6 million players, £9 million players, and things like that. It's not the Celtic way, as much as we would love it to be. I don't see us being that club. Even if we do, like you say, win the league here and we get us upwards of 60 million or something guaranteed, and we've got the money possibly coming for other players who have left us. I just don't see us being that team that spends all this money on several players. Like Edward was obviously upwards of 9 million, I think, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. That was a one-off, not a one-off, but we seem to do it once every now and again. You splash out on these kind of big players. I just think we're one of the teams that's going to get in project players, essentially, players that you can see as he'll build into the team, he'll be a good player, like Matt O'Reilly essentially was. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a great player, he's going to be a good asset, we'll build him into the squad and whatever. And Matt's come in and he's done absolutely fantastic. Fell away a little bit, obviously, after he was linked with Atletico, and then that fell through. And I think that move will probably come around again. I hope it doesn't, because I'd like to keep him at the club. I think he's a cracking player when he's on his game.
Yeah. You know, the thing is absolutely what you're saying there is completely true. It's quite stunning to think about it. And what I've seen a lot in the comments, folk are sort of, again, questioning the Rodgers thing. It's, you know, this season's been quite fascinating. You know, I certainly thought that when he came in, I thought, yep, and listen, this isn't to take away from what we're doing. We found ourselves top of the league. Let's not forget that.
Right.
Let's not forget that we did win and lose sight of that. But I can understand why there's this sort of debate, this uncertainty around, you know, how can a team, you know, playing a certain style under a certain manager, almost look completely different. Now, yeah, do you know what? Maybe we've got some players that are missing there. You know, we don't have your Jota. We no longer now have a Abada. Where do you think, you know, the latter's a great player or not? But there has been changes in the side, and there's certainly been a change in the way that we play. A lot of people are questioning whether, if we are going to spend money, no matter what form that comes, if we are actually trusting Rodgers with that money. Do you have any reservations over the manager in terms of his eye for a player, or certainly his playing style? Because, you know, this season I expected something completely different.
Yeah.
We've not really tried to maintain what we done last season. It's not even tried to sort of say, right, I'll gradually work in my style. To me, there doesn't look to be any particularly defined style of play from Celtic whatsoever. And this season's been a complete and utter grind. Have you any reservations moving forward into summer and beyond that, you know, what we're seeing isn't just the norm, what we
Well,
can expect with different personnel?
if Brendan's given a good transfer budget and he's trusted to look at the players himself, then I've got full confidence in the manager. This is a guy who, when he come in, led us to a pretty much invincible season. Onto whether you give him it or not, the quadruple treble. This guy was absolutely incredible, and the players that he brought in were phenomenal. He knew what to look for in the league, and it probably took him about a season to gauge that. So he's come in, he's inherited a team that were absolutely fantastic, that won the league, won the double, and went, right, I'll play along with this team. So I think he's carried on playing, not Ange ball, but certainly not been Brendan ball, is it? It's been,
We went from being a treble winning side to losing our first trophy
yeah,
to now finding that we can get two back, but we're
yeah,
making hard work off it. I think the biggest concern for me is just about, we talk a lot about dynamic play. So let's touch on Rodgers, and we got to the end. We're not really seeing it. Post-match interview is basic stuff. And what I was disappointed in is he turns around and one of the first things that he mentions is, well, it was difficult with the pitch.
yeah,
Which kind of made me roll my eyes because, as I said, when I done the wee sort of press conference breakdown, we look at it the other day, he was actually complimentary about the pitch and says, you know what, I thought I watched the Rangers game, I thought it looked good. I thought it maybe looks as if it need watered. And then goes, changes the tune today and says, oh, it was dry and it was sticky and it was really bumpy. And it's not really conducive to playing fast, free-flowing, zippy football, fast football that we do. And I'm like, right, okay, is that
change
just
it up
that?
to chaos ball.
Yeah, well, not even play chaos ball. I'm just thinking, it just seems cheap though, does it not? Where we're
Aye,
turning around and saying, you know, it's almost like it's a wee mask to hide behind. I know that performance was garbage, so
yeah,
let's just say the pitch didn't allow us to play. Exactly, Henky. The
aye,
pitch looked decent today. I thought the pitch looked pretty damn good. It probably wasn't watered deliberately by the team because,
of course,
again, small margins, you've got to do what you do. Some teams will narrow it, make it the smallest pitch that they can legally do to, you know, negate play. They'll keep the pitch dry, all these kind of things. So,
yeah.
again, whether it's tactics or skullduggery, if you want to call it that, teams have got to do what they've got to do to try and get results. But I just thought that cheapened the result. I just thought it was an easy get out for them on the back of two really sort of, you know,
Poor
lost
performance,
looking
really.
performances to
Aye,
just go straight to this pitch nonsense. He then goes round and says, yep, but you know, back at Parkhead against Hearts next game, looking forward to getting back there. The pitch will be in fantastic condition. Don't know what Celtic Park he's been to, by the way, because it's always a riot. It's always it's particularly down near the GB. It is bald, and it has been every single season the past 4 seasons. But you know, he's saying that we can expect that fast flowing
do you
football
know
next.
why that is though, Steve? Do you know why it's bald there? Because that's where we celebrate all our goals. That's the players run there to celebrate. That's why that bit's bald.
Well, there's not been too much to celebrate this season. But
But there will
no,
be soon.
I think that you know we're looking for a reaction. Today's out the way. Today's done. That's it. You know,
Yeah,
we've got over the line. That's it. An important
massive
victory
victory,
today.
massive.
That is it. That is all that matters. It's the be all and end all. you know, I would take 4 1-0s, all OGs for the opposition between now and then,
Right.
and worry about these issues down the line. But we do need a reaction, don't we? We need something. We need it quick. If you
Yes.
have any reservations off the back of that game there, off the back of Aberdeen, getting into a game against Hearts again. Listen, Hearts are what Hearts are. We always know, for better or worse, they're going to turn up.
Of course
They're
they
going
are.
to give us a game, and if between now and playing Rangers, I said it time and time again, when those fixtures were drawn up, that was the fixture that Rangers would be looking at and thinking that's the one that they're
Yeah.
going to drop points in and give us a
For
win.
me, it was Kelly, but you obviously pointed out the Hearts one as well. I think that was the one that you were most kind of worried about. And I get it, because like you said there, we know what we're going to get off them. You know their players, your Shanklins. Do you know what I mean? You know exactly. We know what he is. We know what he can do. And he loves a goal against us. And he just, they're going to pump the ball up to him, and they're just going to go for it. They're going to try and destroy your party, basically. And it's up to us to not let them do that.
I mean,
Pin them back,
we've got a
early
full
goal,
run.
and just go for it. I think
We've
we
got
need
a full
to.
run of a week, mate, to get ourselves up to speed.
Yeah.
We need to begin through it. This isn't time to messing about. This isn't time to leave things up to chance.
We're
Are
forgetting
you?
where we come good.
Well, I've been
Manager
told that.
touched on it. Today wasn't glorious by any means at all, but we done the job. We won it. We won it dirty. We got our 3 points, and that's it. If we need to do that against them as well, then that's what we do. If Maeda's back, absolutely outstanding. Would I throw him straight in there? Probably not if he's not 100% fit. I would keep him for the Glasgow Derby to keep in Captain Fantastic, the Hall of Famer, the serial loser. I would pin him.
Well, do you know what? We've covered just over an hour. I think it's been a frustrating day. It's been a satisfying result. That's the main thing. But it's been a frustrating day. And I think, as we say, that's simply because the fans are wanting something a wee bit more. You know, we've spoke about these championship rounds. We've spoke about this is the time when we come good. We've heard the manager saying, I've told the players to get the trophy head on, to show what it means, to show the mentality, show the character. We need that pretty rapid, do we now? We need that quick. We've got a game to build up for the weekend. We've got a full week ahead. Preparations, hopefully, we'll get somebody back. But we can't leave it to chance, can we? We need to really get a good look at ourselves. Every single player, the manager, even the manager, some of his decision making needs to take a right good look at himself, and some sort of soul searching needs to be done over the next week. We're at home, and then 2 back-to-back games. Hearts, then Rangers, arguably our 2 biggest rivals there. No, if that can't get you up for it, then what is going to do it for us?
The players shouldn't need G'd up for these games. These are the ones that you say, right, lads, go do your job. We've been scraping through games recently. I've said it before, we've had one half and things like that. We're performing good for a half, and then the second half not so much. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'd love to see a performance against Hearts where we turn up for both the halves and do our job properly. We've got the players in there to do it, so it'd be nice to see a performance. Do a talking on the park for a change, because we're saying all the right words. We're keeping the fans. We're happy. We're happy as much as we don't look it. We are extremely happy. We're saying the right things. It's time to do a talking on the park. And I think when it comes up against Hearts, we know exactly what they're going to do. We know how they're going to play. Let's pump them.
Absolutely. I think it could be a right good marker ahead of the Rangers game. That one, I think a good performance and a good win against Hearts should put us on the right trajectory.
Yes.
Get the spirits lifted. Get the fans back on side. That'll be a massive game. Now, they're all massive games between now and then, but that's one that if we can put that to bed, I think it'll give us an edge. It'll give us a lift getting into the next game, and I actually think it'll put a wee bit more question marks into the rest of the teams that we're coming up against, because that is definitely the next big one in line, and it's the next one that needs to get taken care of. Anyway, to everybody that's been taking the time to watch us, We know it's not been a fantastic performance to sit and chat about, but it's irrelevant at this moment in time. It's all about the points. The points make prizes. It's still 3 points. It's still 5 goals. We're still sitting at the top of the league, looking down on Rangers. Hopefully, that will be the case come the end of next weekend as well. So as we say, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us. As I say, if you like it, we are seeing in here and here, just make sure if you help us out, give us a wee subscribe, like your video, and if you want to share it, that would be lovely as well. Anyway, it's been great to have you all here. Take care of yourselves. We will be back throughout the week, myself and Josh, and we'll have a couple other bodies on here. We'll probably see Paddy in his office as well. Maybe somebody try to burst in again, get a wee sign on outside that one there. Back to work for you. Aye, that's it. Probably turned away because he's sick, isn't he? But there we go. Anyway, thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you again through the week. Take care of yourselves.
Hail, boys.